Most people visit Paris the same way, and that's exactly why they leave disappointed. I wanted to understand why some people fall in love with Paris while others can't wait to leave. So I tried something simple. I spent 1 week experiencing Paris 2 different ways: the tourist way everyone does, and the local way almost nobody knows about. What I discovered changed everything I thought I knew about this city. Here's how this works. Every decision tourists make in Paris, I'm going to show you what locals do instead. Same city, same budget, completely different experience. Coffee, sightseeing, food, transportation. Even the time of day you wake up changes everything. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why Paris has a reputation problem. It's not the city, it's how people experience it. Let's start with breakfast, because this is where most people get Paris wrong within the first hour. Tourist choice. You wake up around 9 a.m. You want coffee with a view of the Eiffel Tower because, you're in Paris. So you find a cafe right next to the landmark. You sit down. The menu is in English. The waiter barely looks at you. You order a cappuccino and a croissant, 15 euros. The coffee is lukewarm. The croissant tastes like it came from a grocery store. You take a photo for Instagram and leave feeling like you overpaid for the experience, which you did. You wake up at 7 a.m. You walk to a small bakery 3 streets away from any major landmark. No tables, no view, just a counter, a glass case of pastries, and locals ordering quickly in French. You point at a croissant. You order a cafe, €2.50. You stand at the counter or take it outside. The croissant is warm, flaky, and so buttery, it leaves marks on the paper bag. The coffee is strong and simple. You're done in 10 minutes, and it's the best breakfast you've had all trip. Same city, same food, completely different experience. Here's the lesson. Tourists pay for location, locals pay for quality. And in Paris, those two things rarely overlap. Now let's talk about sightseeing, because this is where the tourist version of Paris becomes exhausting. Tourist choice. You start your day around 10 a.m. You head to the Louvre. The line is already an hour long. You get inside. It's packed, shoulder to shoulder. Everyone's trying to see the Mona Lisa. You wait in another line just to get close enough to take a blurry photo over someone's head. You spend 3 hours in the museum but only remember feeling tired and overwhelmed. Then you walk to Notre Dame. More crowds. You take a few photos. You check it off your list. By 2 p.m. you're exhausted and you've barely seen anything. Local choice. You start at 7 a.m. The city is quiet. The light is soft. You walk along the Seine before the tourists arrive. You see Notre Dame without the crowds. You cross Pont Alexandre III, and there's maybe 5 other people on the entire bridge. You stop at a park. You sit. You watch the city wake up. By 9 a.m., you've seen more of Paris than most tourists see in 2 days, and you didn't wait in a single line. Here's what nobody tells you. Paris is beautiful early in the morning, and it's a nightmare at midday. Tourists follow the same schedule. Wake up late, hit the landmarks at peak times, fight crowds, get frustrated. Locals know that Paris rewards you for waking up early and moving at a different pace. But here's where it gets interesting, because the biggest mistake tourists make in Paris has nothing to do with landmarks. It's about food, and it costs them hundreds of euros without them realizing it. Let's talk about lunch, because this is where Paris either wins you over or bleeds you dry. Tourist choice. You're hungry. You're near the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre. You see a restaurant with outdoor seating and an English menu. The prices seem high, but you assume that's just Paris. You sit down, 30 euros for a salad, 25 for pasta. The food is mediocre, the service is cold. You pay 60 euros for a meal you could have gotten better at an Applebee's back home. And you start to think, maybe Paris is overrated. Local choice. You walk 15 minutes away from any landmark. You find a small bistro with a chalkboard menu in French. No English, no photos on the walls, just locals eating quietly. You order the plat du jour, which is the daily special, 12 euros. It comes with wine. The food is simple but perfect. Roasted chicken, vegetables, bread. The waiter takes time to explain the dish. You eat slowly. You're not rushed. You leave feeling like you actually experienced Paris, and you spent less than a third of what the tourist version cost. Here's the truth. Every restaurant within 2 blocks of a major landmark in Paris is a tourist trap. The food is bad, the prices are inflated, and they know you're never coming back, so they don't care. Locals eat in neighborhoods, Marais, Montmartre, Bastille, places where rent is cheaper, and the food has to be good because locals won't tolerate bad quality. If you eat near landmarks, you're paying for location, not food. And Paris has some of the best food in the world, but you'll never taste it if you stay in the tourist zones. Now let's talk about how you move through the city, because tourists and locals use Paris completely differently. Tourist choice. You take taxis or Ubers everywhere because the metro seems confusing. You spend 20 euros getting across the city. You do this 3 times a day. By the end of the week, you've spent 300 euros on transportation, and you've seen Paris from the inside of a car. Local choice. You buy a Navigo week pass for 30 euros. It covers unlimited metro, bus, and tram rides for 7 days. You learn 2 or 3 metro lines. You walk everywhere else. You see the city from street level. You discover small streets and hidden corners you'd never find from a car. You spend 1/10 of what tourists spend, and you see 10 times more. Paris is a walking city. The metro is clean, efficient, and cheap. But tourists avoid it because it feels intimidating. So they spend a fortune on taxis and miss the entire experience of moving through Paris the way it's meant to be experienced. Here's the part nobody talks about. It's not just about where you go in Paris. It's when you go and how fast you move. Tourist choice. You try to see everything in 3 days. Louvre, Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, Versailles, Montmartre, Arc de Triomphe. You wake up at 9 a.m. You go non-stop until 8 p.m. You collapse in your hotel exhausted. You take 100 photos, but you don't remember enjoying a single moment. You're so focused on seeing everything that you don't actually experience anything. Local choice. You pick 3 things you actually care about. Maybe it's the Musée d'Orsay because you love Impressionist art. Maybe it's a sunset walk along the Canal Saint-Martin. Maybe it's spending 2 hours in a bookstore in the Latin Quarter. You give yourself space. You sit in parks. You drink coffee slowly. You watch people. You let Paris come to you instead of chasing it. Here's what I learned. Paris doesn't reward people who rush. It rewards people who slow down. The best moments in Paris aren't at the Eiffel Tower. They're sitting in Luxembourg Gardens watching the light change. Walking through Le Marais at dusk, finding a small wine bar and talking to the owner. These moments don't happen when you're sprinting from landmark to landmark. Tourists treat Paris like a checklist. Locals treat it like a feeling. Paris doesn't disappoint people the way people experience Paris does. Every year, millions of people visit Paris with massive expectations. They've seen the movies, they've heard the stories, they want magic. And then they arrive. They fight crowds at the Eiffel Tower. They overpay for bad food. They rush through museums. They leave thinking, that's it? That's Paris? But Paris was never the problem. The approach was. Paris rewards patience. It rewards locals who know where to go and when. It rewards people who understand that the best parts of the city aren't in the guidebook. The version of Paris that tourists see is designed to extract money as quickly as possible. The version locals see is the one worth falling in love with. And the difference between those 2 versions is just a few simple choices. If you want to actually enjoy Paris, here's exactly what to do. First, wake up early. I'm talking 6:30 or 7 a.m. See the landmarks before the crowds arrive. Walk the streets when they're quiet. Have breakfast at a real bakery, not a tourist cafe. Second, eat away from landmarks. If you can see the Eiffel Tower from your table, the food is going to be terrible and overpriced. Walk 15 minutes in any direction and you'll find better food for half the price. Third, use the metro. Buy a Navigo pass. Learn 2 or 3 lines. Stop taking Ubers. You'll save hundreds of euros and actually see the city. Fourth, slow down. Pick 3 things you actually care about and give them real time. Stop trying to see everything. You can't. And if you try, you'll just be exhausted and miserable. Fifth, spend time in neighborhoods. Locals don't hang out at the Eiffel Tower. They hang out in Belleville, Oberkampf, Batignolles. Go where the rent is cheaper and the people are real. Sixth, learn 5 phrases in French. Bonjour, merci, s'il vous plaît, excusez-moi, au revoir. You don't need to be fluent, but making an effort changes how people treat you. Parisians appreciate when you try. And seventh, leave space in your schedule. Don't plan every hour. Let yourself get lost. Sit in parks. Watch the city. The best moments in Paris happen when you're not trying to make them happen. Here's the truth about Paris. It's not the Eiffel Tower. It's not the Louvre. It's not the Instagram photos. It's the smell of fresh bread at 7 a.m. It's the light hitting the Seine at sunset. It's a waiter who takes time to explain the wine list because he can tell you actually care. It's discovering a small jazz bar in the Marais that's been there for 40 years. It's sitting in a park on a Wednesday afternoon watching old men play pétanque. That's the Paris locals see, and it's the Paris most tourists completely miss. The tourist version of Paris is expensive, crowded, and disappointing. The local version is everything you hoped it would be. The city hasn't changed. Your choices have. Every city has 2 versions, the one tourists see and the one you earn. Paris doesn't give itself away easily. You have to slow down. You have to pay attention. You have to be willing to walk away from the crowds and discover the version of the city that actually matters. I spent 3 days doing Paris the tourist way, and I was ready to leave. Then I spent 4 days doing it the local way, and I didn't want to go. Same city, same budget, completely different experience. The choice is yours. Now, Paris isn't the only city where this matters. There are 5 destinations right now that are blowing up in travel searches. Places that are about to go from hidden gems to overcrowded tourist traps in the next year. And if you want to visit them before everyone else figures it out, you need to know which ones are actually worth the hype and which ones are already too late. I broke down all 5 in my next video. The search data is insane. One of them saw a 700% spike and almost nobody's talking about it yet. If you're planning your next trip and you want to stay ahead of the crowds, that's the video you need to watch. Don't make the same mistakes in Paris that everyone else makes, and don't miss out on the destinations that are about to explode. Learn from this, travel smarter, and I'll see you in the next one.